Transformers fans, and welcome back to another cool toy review featuring another of the Transformers Legacy Evolution Toxitron set of figures, the G2 unreleased until now, Jazz. And I really like these alternate takes on a lot of classic and original characters from Generation 1 in these very loud and bright neon colors. I never thought I'd really like these, but it's a nice change of pace from the norm that we usually get. So anyway, here's Jazz in his packaging. You've got some artwork of Jazz in his vehicle mode there in the front. On the side, you've got some robot mode artwork of Jazz. On this side, you've got that Legacy Evolution banner artwork in the Toxitron colors. And on the back, you've got some images of Jazz in his robot and vehicle mode. And that's pretty much it for the packaging. And here is Jazz out of the box in his orange and red color scheme. It's so bright looking. And I really dig this orange and red color scheme. It looks very, very cool. You can see his weapon shoulder mounted setup on the back there. And these, I really like how they included these hound looking weapons that resemble some of the weapons that the original release of this figure was going to come with before it was canceled in the 90s. I think it looks very cool. You can just unpeg that from his back, and one can be a pistol, one can just be this little rocket launcher. The rocket also removes, by the way, just pegs onto the front right there. And then you have this cool like thruster bit or another blaster muzzle that you can use as a different unique blaster aside from his signature blaster that he's had since Generation 1. Assuming this is, of course, the same Jazz. I mean, there have been instances where there are similar characters that share the same name. Some instances where there's clones of certain characters, especially with some Generation 2 characters. Collectors Club took some strides in that with their Timelines comics and their BotCon exclusive comics, where Jaxus ended up cloning a bunch of Cybertronians to make a new, or rather second generation of Cybertronians, which was a cool and interesting angle to explore. Whichever you like, whichever you subscribe to, this specific Jazz hasn't really had any appearances in Transformers media, at least none that I can think of at this time. And despite the really cool look, that's really what this is just a different version of Jazz that you might really like to have in your collection. Like I said earlier in this video, I really love the loud color scheme, and of course you can see that classic G2 Autobot logo there on his chest. And while this figure does look like in some cases it's not finished paint job wise, it actually is. This is very much how the original proposed Generation 2 Jazz was going to look like paint-wise. So I guess the very plain colors on the head sculpt, aside from the yellow face, is what they initially set out to do. And this emulates that original unproduced figure very well, in my opinion. He is fully articulated. Head is on a ball joint. Fully articulated shoulders in and out. Upper bicep, single jointed elbows. Wrists can go in and out due to transformation. Waist, hips, upper thigh, single jointed knees. Technically, you also have this hinge joint right here due to transformation, and unfortunately, it is just as loose as the Studio 86 release of this Jazz. That's one of the things I kind of wish they had fixed with this mold, which is how loose this joint is for the knees, because it's hard to properly articulate the knee on its own because of how loose this piece is and because it doesn't lock into place very well. Sometimes you can hear that click and you'll get it to go and then it's good, but other times it's a little difficult, and sometimes the knees themselves are a little bit on the loose side. Side ankle joints, you can also articulate these little fenders right here, but that's mostly due to transformation. And that's pretty much it for articulation. For comparison, here he is next to G1 Jazz. And this is, of course, the Studio 86 release of G1 Jazz. You can see how they look side by side, drastically different in color scheme. Aside from the molds being so similar and them sharing a name, these might as well be two completely different characters. But they look really cool side by side. Transformation is just like the Studio 86 release of Jazz. We're going to go ahead and just start by removing that blaster from the hand over there. We'll go ahead and fold in the hands and extend those elbows all the way so they're nice and straight on the arms. And then we're going to come over here to this backpack here. We're going to pull up on this double hinge joint here. We're going to open these doors from the inside, and then we're going to pull out the rear windshield section and just line it up with that top panel there. And we're going to leave these doors out of the way just for right now while we get things situated where we need them. Next, we're going to come over here to the waist section, and we're going to rotate this whole waist section all the way around. And so his abs are on his back, and then we're going to rotate the waist back around so that his actual waist is facing front. We mostly just wanted to rotate it all the way around the first time just so this section's out, and it's easier if you just do the whole thing versus one piece or the other piece to the side, at least in my experience. Next, we're going to pull back on this torso section just a little bit so that we have enough clearance to push the head in all the way, like so. And then the hood, or at least the rest of the hood, is down here tucked away. So we're going to push that up as we push that head down, and that's going to line up all of this right here, and that's how that's supposed to look. Next, we're going to come over here to the arms. We're going to rotate the arms in and rotate the wheels out from the inner part of the shoulder there. Do the same thing over here. Rotate, rotate, like so. And there's pretty much the front of the car all done. Next, we're going to come over here to these forearms. We're going to rotate those to the side so that this little peg is facing out, because that's going to peg into the inner side of the door there. Do the same thing over here. Rotate so that peg is facing out. Next, we might as well go ahead and get the legs done on that knee joint. We're going to collapse the thigh into the back of the calf there. Do the same thing over here. Collapse that down. Close those feet like so. Peg these legs together on the back, and then rotate the fender down so the wheel is facing the way it's supposed to be facing on a car. Believe it or not, the wheels do face the ground, in case you were wondering. And then we're going to take this back piece here, and on that double hinge, we're going to slide that forward. We're going to tab the back of the legs into the back of the rear windshield section, and then we're going to bring these doors down and tab them into the arms on the side of the car. Make sure that's all lined up properly. There we go. And the vehicle mode is very, very clean, very good looking, much like the Studio Series 86 Jazz. Again, that color scheme looks really cool. I like those little triangular bits there on the doors there. Those shapes look kind of neat. You even have them on top of the spoiler there a little bit. And I kind of like how it feels like a sunset, the way that the orange just kind of fades into the red, or the red fades into the orange, depending on how you're looking at it. And overall, it just makes for a really cool looking figure, whether it's Jazz in your collection or not, or your main Jazz in your collection or not. You can't deny that that's a pretty cool looking color scheme, or at least it is in my opinion. You can also add his weapons. You can put his signature blaster pistol on the hood of his car. You can't really display all of his weapons on him at once, unfortunately, just because of the layout of where the pegs are on them and the layout of peg holes on the figure. There just aren't very many available in vehicle mode, so you don't have a lot of weapon storage with these extra weapons that he came with, in addition to the blaster pistol right here, which the Studio 86 version only came with the one weapon. And real quick for comparison, here is G2 Jazz next to G1 Jazz, so you can see them side by side and see how they compare. And I think they compare rather nicely and look very, very cool side by side. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's review featuring the Transformers Legacy Evolution Toxitron line with unreleased Generation 2 figures featuring today's Jazz figure. This Jazz is very, very cool. Again, I love the loud neon color scheme of the Toxitron collection. It has been very, very cool. So far, we've also reviewed the Cloud Cover Seeker, which was very, very cool. Stay tuned for more reviews from the Toxitron line. We will be reviewing the rest here on CoolToyReview.com. And like and subscribe, follow us on social media, and make sure you check out CoolToyReview.com every single day because there's all kinds of awesome new toy-related news and content on CoolToyReview.com. Check out Bay12 as well, one of the other YouTube channels that does content with us here on CoolToyReview.com. That's where the bulk of the Transformer reviews I review are posted, so make sure you like and subscribe to Bay12 and follow them on social media as well. If you like Star Wars content, however, check out myself and Nick on RebelScum.com. There is daily Star Wars content on RebelScum.com every single day. Toy reviews, toy news, and more. And like and subscribe to the RebelScum.com YouTube channel for awesome Star Wars toy-related content done by myself and Nick here from CoolToyReview.com. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. Transform and roll out.